that full size of the person is developed. When growth hormone gradually decreases in its effect and in its production, by the age of 25, when we grow into stature, well, not height, but width. Thank you. Histamine and growth hormone are the elements that do this. From the age of 25 onwards, the water regulation of the body is under control of histamine and less of growth hormone. Histamine and its subordinate regulators. Depending on this type of fluid that we take, tea, coffee, we gradually become dehydrated as we grow older because we lose our thirst perception. The body may be thirsty, but you do not perceive it as a sensation. The reason for that is that we've got a reserve mechanism in the body to get us through a period of drought. And we're constantly living on the borderline of drought. And the reason for that is when the body is thirsty for 2 glasses of water, we give it 1. It'll do with the 1, but it's still 1 short. Gradually, we lose our perception of thirst. We may need 4 glasses of water, we drink 1. And so on, eventually disease occurs. Now, it has been shown clinically that between the ages of 20 to 70, we lose our perception of thirst and the body becomes dehydrated. And since the water that we drink goes into the cell and the salt that we take stays outside the cell and maintains the ocean outside, this dehydration eventually produces a change in the ratio of the water content of the body. The 2 oceans of water in the body change their ratio. The ocean inside the cell diminishes, the ocean outside the cell increases. The extracellular to intracellular ratio changes from 0.8 and becomes 1.1. This is a clinical study. This is a fact. And the only reason that this ratio changes is because we don't drink enough water to go into the cell. If we drink enough water to go into the cell, that ratio will not change so drastically. Now, when the body becomes so dehydrated, how else can it show that it's dehydrated? I've thought a lot about this, and as a result of research and new understanding or new paradigm of science that the water regulates all the functions of the body, it's the main source of energy for the human body. All the functions of the body depend on the availability of water. I've come up with new ideas about thirst perception. If dry mouth is not a sign of dehydration, because in order to be able to chew and swallow food, we produce ample saliva even though the rest of the body may be dehydrated. And the reason for that is water is a lubricating factor in the mouth. In order to lubricate the function of swallowing and chewing, we produce saliva. But the rest of the body may still be dehydrated. So dry mouth is not a sign of dehydration. There are other signs for dehydration, and these are it. Feeling tired is a sign of dehydration because water is the main source of energy. Drink a glass of water next time you're tired, see it'll act as the best pick-me-up there is. Feeling flushed is a sign of dehydration. And the reason for that is the brain needs a lot of water. And when it tries to open up the circulation to the brain, it also opens up the circulation to the face. So, because they both have the same circulation. Once they open up at the root, also the face becomes flushed. Feeling irritable is a sign of dehydration, or a perception of dehydration translates to that. The body says, I don't have enough energy to cope with this issue, so get it away from me. Don't bother me. That's why we get irritable. Feeling anxious is a sign of dehydration. We know what's going to happen if we continue in a state of dehydration. So anxiety begins to set in. That's translation of dehydration, that we become anxious. Drink 2 glasses of water, your anxiety will disappear. All these have been tested, by the way. So as you can see, feeling dejected, don't have enough energy to socialize, don't have enough energy to cope with new issues. Feeling depressed is a definite sign of dehydration. Depression has been shown to be a metabolic disorder. Dr. Pfeiffer produced a lot of results, and he's come to the conclusion that people who are depressed either produce a lot of histamine in their body, majority of them are high histamine content, have high histamine content, some of them have got very low histamine content, and some of them have got vitamin B6 and zinc deficiency, which is, he calls pyroluria. I've got a series of tapes. I've explained all that information in the tapes. Feeling inadequate is also a sign of dehydration or perception of dehydration. Heavy head, not having a headache yet, but your head is heavy. You don't feel light. That's a sign of dehydration. You're about to have a headache, or there is so much circulation going to your brain that you feel that weight. Some people are perceptive to that. Cravings for various elements, such as these beverages that you normally drink, but they don't quench your thirst. You still continue to drink them. Craving for salt. Salt also produces, lack of salt produces dehydration. A lot of people who overeat, who crave for food, they're in fact, in my opinion, searching for the salt content of that food. In my opinion, a lot of people who grow fat, they grow fat because of salt deficiency. Of course, water deficiency too. Agoraphobia. I've got a beautiful case history of a man who for 54 years was agoraphobic. For the last 10 years, he was so agoraphobic, he had fear of open spaces, communication with people, and so on. He was so fearful that he wouldn't step out of the house. They bought him a dog so that he would take the dog for a walk. He became so agoraphobic that he couldn't even do that. Within 10-15 days of going back on water, his agoraphobia disappeared.
What exactly is agoraphobia?
Fear of going places, yeah.
Fear of going places.
Yeah, fear of leaving the house.
Oh, okay.
Actually, in animal models, it's been shown that I'm going 2 steps forward because dehydration produces tryptophan deficiency and serotonin deficiency. And in animal models, it's been shown that these animals that are tryptophan and serotonin deficient, they are fearful of stepping beyond the limit of their nest, and they continue to groom themselves. So they become introversive. They consider looking after their own health or their appearance. I've got my own interpretations of that, but that is basically what is happening in human beings. Now, what are the other emergency ways the body can show you that it's short of water? Here they are. There should be 9 there. I've identified 8 because I didn't have enough space there. Early morning sickness of pregnancy is a sign of dehydration of the mother and the child. And the reason for that is the histamine effect produces the nausea. The child is producing a lot of histamine in order to get more water. The mother understands that the mother cannot translate that into dehydration, and the mother is not drinking enough water, therefore it begins to develop nausea, because histamine is produced in the stomach as well, as part of the mechanism of thirst mechanism. Dyspeptic pain and heartburn is a sign of dehydration. It's a signal of emergency call of the body for water. Migraine headaches is another sign of dehydration in the body, albeit at the brain level. Angina, heart pain, you know angina? You don't feel like walking. As soon as you walk, you develop a chest pain. That is a sign of dehydration. We will come to that. And in my book, there are at least 2 or 3 case histories of people who had angina and their angina disappeared with water. Rheumatoid joint pain is a sign of dehydration in the body at the joint level. Back pain is a sign of dehydration in the body. We'll come to that. Intermittent leg pain, intermittent claudication is a sign of dehydration in the body. Colitis pain, being constipated, having pain, is a sign of dehydration, because water is the best lubricant. And in the gut, when there isn't enough water, the colon has to constrict on the refuse in order to squeeze it from its last drop of water so that it doesn't leave the body. So you become not only constipated, you develop the spasm of the colon. So that is another sign of dehydration. Fibromyalgic pains, sign of dehydration in the body. Fibromyalgic pains are, you have pain all over your body, joints, and your muscles are aching. That is a sign of dehydration, because it means that there isn't enough water to wash the acidity away from the areas of dehydration.